You need to believe in yourself. To give you to this world, you need to believe in yourself. You have to believe that you have enough power, you have enough wisdom, you have enough intellect to achieve. No one
Mhm.
else can have that for you. You have to have faith, even in creating art, in whatever you have to have faith that you can do it.
Canessa Thomas is a Georgia-based, self-taught, multidisciplinary artist and author. Her debut poetry collection, The Strongest Element, Love Survival, launched a creative journey spanning digital art, mixed media, and internationally exhibited photography, with shows in Venice, Athens, and Amsterdam. Her work has also been featured in Time and Memory and the one-on-one art book, Abstract Edition 2025. Inspired by spirituality, love, and personal growth, Canessa creates vibrant visual narratives centered on healing, unity, and transformation.
The way you know and you truly find out that this is your calling and this is something that you is by continuing on.
Today, Canessa joins us to discuss her journey from writing stories and poetry to creating abstract visual art after serious health challenges reshaped her path. In this episode, she explores faith-led creativity, healing through artistic expression, and the message behind her work, inviting others to step out of fear, embrace their voice, and shine. Canessa, welcome to the show. So excited to have you here this evening.
Thank you for inviting me.
I'm really excited to kind of dive into your world, learn more about your journey. Let's start from the beginning. How did you first get started on your creative journey?
Oh wow. I think like most of us, we start as a child. It started, with your using your imagination, having dandelion leaves, use them as collard greens, putting on shows, putting on shows in the backyard. The neighborhood kids and I, every Saturday, we were super friends. So I think in ways of making capes, in ways of flying, like I said, putting on shows in the backyard where we use big rocks that, boulders that we had a particular like boulder, and I'm sure it might be smaller now, but as a kid it was a boulder, and we would use that we would use that as a stage for a solo, and then we had the driveway for a stage, and we would literally put on shows and drag my mom and dad out and have them as the audience. So I think it started back then. I think most people, it starts in childhood using your imagination, because when I was growing up, we didn't have all the electronics, and it was important you got outside and you played, and we looked forward to it. And so
Mhm.
I would say back then when we were uh, kids, just playing and turning, like I said, dandelion leaves were collard greens when we were going to the grocery store and things of that nature, until it later became that I found that I loved short stories. And I started
Mm.
out writing, and that led to poetry. And then when my oldest son was a toddler, where I was a stay at home mom and you're trying to find something for yourself, and that became drawing. And then I was like, oh, kind of good at this, but it still remained a hobby for many years.
So collard greens, dandelions,
Yeah.
and
We were the super friends.
boulders.
Yes, boulders, and I wanted to be ISIS. So we had to have, I had to have the gold lasso and all of that. We pretended, make believe, using that imagination, I think, which is creativity.
It absolutely is. And I think a lot of times, at least now in this day and age, some kids don't have that.
Exactly.
The iPad is there, the iPhone is
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
I mean,
yes.
even at the age of 4, they're scrolling instead of being outside in nature and really playing around with elements and
Elements,
utilizing
exactly.
creativity.
I think when you pretend and things like that, it kind of it builds your imagination and your creativity. You have to, when you don't have all of the distractions and the electronics, maybe not even a truck, you find
Mhm.
things and
Yeah.
you use your imagination to see it. Just like those dandelion leaves we saw as collard greens,
Mhm.
we didn't have collard greens, but we made collard greens. We made sticks and stones became things. So I think
Mhm.
that's just a part of building your creativity, your imagination, strengthening it, and so it
Yes.
grows, and you start
Mhm.
seeing the impossible, other things differently. Instead of it being a leaf is a leaf, a leaf can be a lot of different things. A stone can be a lot of different things, and so I think when you start as a child and you use your imagination and you pretend, you start to see things differently. You see, when you look at clouds, they're no longer clouds. You can find birds. And we would do that. We would lay
Wow.
on the ground and look up at the clouds and we'd see birds. We'd see cars, and so that's just the way I think of your imagination being used to utilize for you to just strengthen for your creativity to grow so you can just
Mhm.
see things differently, a lot of different
Mhm.
perspectives.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and I love that, see the impossible.
Hmm.
Seeing it through this lens, it just changes the way you see the world, right?
Yeah.
Expansion, expansion.
Mhm.
So you ended up writing short stories. Tell us about your short stories, and
Oh,
how did you start with short stories?
short stories again when I was in the eighth grade, never forget.
Mhm,
I fell in love with, once again, fiction, writing
mhm,
stories that, just I loved using my imagination. I loved just starting with something, just they were short stories, but they were all fictional stories, as opposed to when I later got into poetry, that so much wasn't fiction. It was things that I experienced or something that I saw other people experience. And so
mhm,
just I loved short stories because I got to write fiction. The world was whatever I said it was on paper.
mhm,
And so that's what I loved it. And I thought that I would grow up and become an author of a book of fiction. And it changed a bit. I became an author, but it was a book of poetry. So,
mhm.
so, yeah.
So short stories and then collection of poetry,
Mhm.
becoming an author because you published, and then moving into becoming an artist.
Yes.
Tell us more, just a little bit more about your shift or pivot to focusing on artwork.
I shifted from writing to and I actually did a while of photography, and I switched from all of that. What led me actually to doing artwork was because I needed an outlet. I was diagnosed with a chronic illness when I was 19,
Mhm,
that progressed as I got older. And I went through about where the medicines weren't working. I lost a lot of weight. And whereas in the past, being younger, I was able to control it, or what I should say, manage it. My body was more resilient. It could take more. I was getting older and I wasn't able to fight like I used to. It took a lot more out of me.
mhm,
And doctors weren't able to find the medications because I had taken a lot over the years. I've had this disease since I was 19, and I needed. My life was just, it was turning upside down. I was in the hospital every month, a couple of times a month, and that took its toll. And I need, head spinning. What am I going to do? Is this going to lead to surgery? Is this going to lead to worse? And being that I had lost weight, I eventually ended up in the cardiac unit for like a week, and I just didn't have the strength or the
mhm,
ability to leave home like I could to take the pictures any longer. I didn't want to write about it because I didn't want to see the words. I didn't want to hear the words. It hurt. It literally hurt.
mhm,
Not only was I hurting physically, but I was hurting emotionally, spiritually, in every way. And I didn't want to write about it. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want it to be real. So the only thing is like, okay, let's just go back to that hobby of
mhm,
drawing. And although I started out doing portraits and figures, I leaned more into abstract because, with art it's subjective, and it's with abstract, it's so many stories. Nothing is really concrete with abstract art, you know.
mhm,
And so I could put stories, just like when with my poetry, I could hide behind metaphors. I could also
mhm,
hide inside of abstract art. And it could be whatever I wanted to be. And not just for me, but those viewing it could there were some who could see my story, the story that maybe that spirit intended. But what was
mhm,
great about it is that others could see their stories, which may not have been what I might have intended, but I believe that is what spirit intended, and that
mhm.
everyone saw something in it. It's
Yeah.
beautiful when they see, oh, what I intended, but it's even better when they show me something or describe something that I had intended, but I look at it and I'm like, yeah. But that's the beauty
Mhm,
of it. It reaches to me, abstract art reaches so many, and it can touch so many with that. and it was a safe place for me, and it began to help me heal to the point to where I could actually do a portrait, because if I did a portrait before then, I didn't want to, see humans be human. I didn't want to be, I didn't want to, I didn't want to be, I didn't want to. And I think if I did, it would have been probably a bit grotesque because that's how I felt at that moment. And as I healed more, I ventured out into back into the portraits, and that became something that I did to tell when I really did have a specific story that I wanted to come across, as
Mhm.
opposed to um, with abstract. There are many, many. Not that
Mhm.
there's not many in my um, portraits and figures, but there are. I think those are easily seen, as not
Mhm.
so much so with the abstract art. And I
Right.
think there's more freedom in that.
Mhm. Absolutely. And I can understand that for having that freedom and artwork being a part of your healing process.
Yeah.
I heard you mention spirit, and I want to talk a little bit about your faith because I know your faith is strong. What
Mhm.
role does your faith play in the work that you create, whether it's poetry or
Everything.
abstract art? Tell us more.
Spirit plays a role in everything that
Mhm.
I do, especially with my art. It did in poetry, only because after writing, I would always see something deeper after going back and reading it. So I knew that I was not writing alone. I don't create art alone. And with,
Mhm.
as opposed to when I was doing my art, I prayed before and during creating my art, because I recognized that I was not just creating myself for myself or of myself. I'm co-creating, and I recognize that
Mhm.
now. So it's like me working with my partner. Okay, partner, okay, spirit, what are we saying today? Or what is it what's the message that that we are trying to, relay? And so everything is about spirit for me. Everything to
Mhm.
me is spirit. Um, when I share, especially with my art, I feel and I believe, and I've had others tell me that there is something that they see and feel, and it's a spiritual thing. I believe that that my co-creating with God is, and because I started doing it to help me heal, that it
Mhm.
helps facilitate others to heal, and not just physically but emotional parts, because I wasn't just healing physically, I was healing spiritually, I was healing emotionally, because there was a breakdown, in what are we doing here,
Mhm.
what's going on here. And to be able to trust, you have to have faith, even in creating art, in whatever
Mhm.
you have to have faith that you can do it. You have to
Mhm.
have faith and believe that not only you can do it, but there's something that it's not just that others need it too, that you have something to give, something to offer. So
Mhm.
faith is my using that for myself, and then one day having the struggle with whether or not to share that, you know,
Mhm.
that
Right.
imposter syndrome, and
Mhm.
realizing that what you do is never really of and for yourself. And so if
Mhm.
it's healing you, it can heal someone else too. Nothing you do is ever solely for yourself. And it would be kind of arrogant for me to think that, oh, it's just for me, this, even though this heal me, it doesn't have the possibility to, or the potential to heal anyone else or to give them. And it doesn't, even when I say healing, it doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, well, you're healed, but just to show, you never know what someone sees in it, a spark,
Mhm.
something that makes them feel good, or reminder. I remember times when I was sick, you just need something to make you laugh, or just a glimmer of hope in it. It can give you hope,
Mhm.
and
Yes.
to know that someone that created it may have gone or experienced the same things that you have. And for those
Mhm.
that don't think they have a lot to offer, or that they can do it, oh, I can do that.
Mhm.
I can do that. I'm not
Mhm.
the least bit offended by somebody seeing my work and saying, oh, I can do that. Great,
Mhm.
do it. If you can do
Mhm.
it, you should do it. If you
Yes.
feel so compelled, do that, because that means that you have a story, you have something that you're supposed to share. We're
Mhm.
in this together, whether we believe it or not,
Yes, we
So
are.
for me, faith is, when it comes to it's everything. That's it. That's all it
Mhm.
is about faith. Creating, and with, if I create and I take this out of me, all this stuff and all this pain, if I let it out, that it can become something, that
Mhm.
you can achieve something. And at the time, doing it for myself to help myself because it was so much inside of me that it was just,
Yeah.
it needed to be out. And just like my poetry, there was nothing that I could write that I could hold to myself. I felt better when I shared it,
When
released it,
you
because that was a way of me releasing it. Anything I ever held, it bugged me and gnawed at me
mm,
until I had to
mhm,
share it with someone. And it's the same with the art. And I believe that's a part of, that's about faith, sharing that faith, sharing that
mhm,
faith and that belief that what you have, what I have, is
mhm.
something, and that if you feel compelled to share it, no matter what it is, that's because it's for someone else too. It's food and
Right.
it's healing and it's nutrition and it's a nurture, something that
Mhm.
can nurture someone else's, whether
Yes.
it's a healing of their body, a healing of their thoughts. Oh,
Mhm,
I can't do
mhm.
this, or I want to do art, some form, and I'm a little nervous. I was nervous,
Mhm,
I
mhm.
felt, and just because of how my parents were, when you were growing up, you face your fears. Do it
Okay.
scared. And I did it scared. And I think
Mhm.
that that's something else. That's a healing. When you do
Mhm.
something scared, that's healing,
It
because
is,
that's
it
telling
is.
that thing or that inside voice or that's telling you that you can't, or this is too scary, or oh, because I'm scared, I shouldn't go for it. No, because you're scared, you go for it, because that's
You go
opening
for it.
up, that's expansion. You're no
Mhm.
longer, you get to see what you're made of. You get to see what you can do when you face
Yes.
that fear and you walk through it. And if you don't, if it's for some reason, because I've shared my work before that time. Sometimes there's divine timing in something. And I
Yes.
shared it before, and it didn't get much traction. But at the time when I shared it, I don't even know if that was even the timing for it. I shared a
Mm.
little bit, didn't get much traction, didn't seem like anybody was paying attention, and I fell back into, you know, because it was still just a hobby for me at the time, until I was led to a point where there was nothing else I had to give. There was
Mm.
nothing else or nothing else that I felt or could feel that I could do. Just being health in the predicament that I was with my health, as well as being so drained spiritually and just emotionally.
Mhm.
I needed that. I
Yeah.
needed art, and I believe art needed me in a sense.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah. It sounds like it. It sounds like it. And God is using you to heal, not only help you heal, but to heal others,
I
which
believe.
is it's powerful. It's
Thank you.
powerful. You're on a spiritual path. How do you maintain your faith when there's so many distractions? How do you hold on to your faith and continue to create from a space of giving
Um,
and wanting to give?
I smile about that because there's a bird, the blue heron, and the blue heron. No matter, I don't know if you've seen a heron. They look a lot like what are those?
Actually, I have.
The blue heron, they are, I know if you've ever seen a heron, they aren't easily distracted. I don't care, you can jump up and down, they stay focused on that thing. And it's not like they
Mhm,
don't see you or hear you. They're focused. They know what they see you, but they're not giving that attention to anything but what they deem necessary. And that's what I
mhm,
think I've had, what's helped me and that I've learned staying focused is that if it's something that I want to do or something I feel compelled and called to do, you can't let the out. And this is for anyone in any area.
mhm,
If it's something that you want to do, something you feel that you're called to do, led to do, or just feel the simple need, this is something that I want to do, you can't let the outside noise get in the way or distract you from it. It's doing what it's supposed to do. The way you know and you truly find out that this is your calling and this is something that you is by continuing on. It's by shutting that off. And it's hard. Yes, it is so very
mhm,
hard to do because,
mhm,
we're human. We say, well, I don't care about this. No, a little part of you does. You have to, at least it does with me. And I have to talk to that part. You have to
mhm,
speak to that part. And you have to remember. And what I choose to do is to remember my why.
mhm,
In the beginning, my why was to ensure that was to help heal me, was to give me an outlet. And during doing that, I discovered that it was greater than that. It was greater than me. And
mhm,
so I look at myself as co-creating with God. So if I'm co-creating with God, It doesn't matter who else or what else. Most people, we all are.
Mhm.
If you're co-creating with God,
Yeah.
who or what matters more than that? What voice do you give more weight to other than the one inside of you? That small voice that says, "Go ahead and you got it." Or and usually you can feel it in your bones. You know, you can feel it even on those days when you don't feel it. Remember.
Mhm.
Remember what it felt like. That's your, that's your reminder because it's not going to feel good every day. There are days
Yeah.
when you feel like, I know I've had days where I feel like I don't know if I have anything
Mhm.
more to say right now. Whoever it is that your higher power is, you lean into that and you have
Mhm.
to believe in yourself. So for me, not getting distracted is my remembering that I'm co-creating with God. And it doesn't matter what anybody else says. I mean, it doesn't matter if anybody, who says it's not good. It doesn't matter if someone says I should be doing something else. You have to know that you know. And that's again where faith comes in. You have to
Yes.
have faith that what you hear and what you feel is valid and
Mhm.
true. So if you have, that's where faith comes in. We talk about
Mhm.
you can't, it takes your believing in yourself to believe that you can even hear from God, that you can even be used.
That's true. That's true.
So you have to believe in yourself in whatever you do, because if you don't, you will get distracted and you will get, you can get thrown off track. So you have to remember, sit down when it gets a little heavy or you get distracted and you don't know anymore. Take that time.
Mhm.
I take that time because I have those moments where I feel like, man, I can't, I don't know if, I have anything else to create any artwork in me. And I
Mhm.
pray and I move anyway. Even and because most of the time I'm intuitive creator anyway, so I don't
Mhm.
have a set of what I'm going to do, except for maybe with portraits. But even then, I don't know how that's going to start. I just know it's going to be a figure, okay, and then I'm led,
Mhm.
I'm
And
led,
then you're led.
I'm led along the way. You just
Mhm.
have to put the pen to the pad, put the paint to the canvas anyway.
Mhm.
If it's nothing but a truck, if it's nothing but a wheel,
Mhm.
I believe like if you take one step towards it, then you're met the
Mhm.
rest of the way. You got to show, and you got to show yourself. You got to show the universe. You got to show God that you're willing. You're
Mhm.
still willing. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm not sure if I can even do it this day, you know, but I'm willing
Mhm.
to.
And I'm
And if it's nothing
willing.
but paint flowers, it has helped me to keep going. Because some days
Mhm.
it's like I get stuck. Some days it's like I don't know that I have. And it's like, and it's what next? If not this, where do we go to next? I'm gonna create
Mhm.
whether, and I think that's why we shouldn't put ourselves in boxes, because
Right.
I don't. You never know where you can go next. I've been
Mhm.
writing, I've been taking pictures, and it's like if
Mhm.
this is it, where to next?
Mhm.
Creators create. Okay.
Yes, they do.
Creators create. So you
Mhm.
just remain open. I think I just remaining open. When I feel like I can't, you can sit with that a day or two, but don't get stuck there. You know,
Yeah, don't get stuck.
don't get
Don't get
stuck.
stuck.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. You've unpacked a lot, and it sounds like your creative process is intuitive because you are so aligned and in tune with God.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what a blessing. And that flows through, you're welcome, through the work you create. When you think about the work that you've created, the work that has healed you and has helped other people, what was the message and the piece that you created? Is there one that stands out to you that really resonated, that talked to your spirit, and you knew that that was going to help? Can you think of one?
Probably one that
Eh,
I did recently called
mhm.
Shrinkage.
Tell me about it, shrinkage. Mhm.
Shrinkage is because it's of I say it's young girl and woman because it can be for an adult or a child. And if you see the piece, there's a ponytail and it looks kid-like, but there's eyeshadow. So I think that's the child in us. And it
Mhm.
says I put on there and had it written on a piece of paper that's on the artwork that says, "It's safe to come out now. Shine." And that spoke to me, and I've had people say that it's spoken to them. Actually, I had a friend call me up and said, "Oh, I cried."
Oh, wow.
Oh, I cried because we hide a lot of ourselves out of fear of not
Mm-hmm.
being accepted, of what people might expect. And it's like you have to come to where you know and you believe it's safe. You're meant to shine no matter what. You're meant to shine. All of us have a light that we are supposed to share, that we need to share. All of us do. There's anything, it's like anything that you, once again, anything that you feel that you need to share, supposed to share, should be shared, or that you simply want to share. Don't
Mm-hmm.
shrink to it. Don't shrink or don't feel like, well, I don't, because there are some people that are in situations where they're not surrounded by healing voices or uplifting voices. They're surrounded by people who are down and want them to stay down. So if
Mm-hmm.
you, it's for them to say, it's okay. It's time. Don't be afraid of any outside voices. Shine, shine.
Mm-hmm.
Take that chance. Build
Beautiful.
the app, the software, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Shine. Stop. We hide, and it's that pieces of ourselves. We're afraid of our own power sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
it's like, don't be afraid of your light or how bright it is, because anybody who shifts and dodges it or shies away from it, it's okay. That's not a part of your tribe, or the person that you're supposed to be, to reach with that. But there's
Mm-hmm.
someone out there that you are, and it's like the what is that, field of dreams? If you build it,
Mm-hmm.
they will come. If you create it,
Yes.
they will come. They will
Yes.
come. It may take time, but that's how it happens. You know,
Mm-hmm.
with a seed, a plant, a tree isn't a tree overnight. You have to build and you have to nurture it. And it's the same with your craft as an artist. You have to nurture it. You
Mm-hmm.
have to um, I tell people when you're online, and most artists, we don't really like the marketing side or anything like that. You just want to create, but that's a part of the planting of the seed, so that you
Mm-hmm.
can get your work out there for people to see, and don't just post online and go away. Plant seeds into other people as well. If you
Mm-hmm.
want likes, you got to go around and you got to visit people. You got to like other people's work too. You can't sit
That's
back
true.
and just want to be fed yourself. You got to feed others too, and then you'll be fed. So you got to pour
Mm-hmm.
into others and they'll pour into you. You can't say, well, I only get 2 likes. And then it's, well, have you liked anyone else's work today? Have you visited and uplifted anyone else?
Mm-hmm.
Uplift and you'll be uplifted. You feed and you'll be fed. So you have
Mm-hmm.
to, artists, we kind of go between one of, like there's a quote that says that there's a tension between wanting to communicate and wanting to hide. But when you're creating, this is a cooperation, it's a community.
Mm-hmm.
Feed your community like you would your home. If you're creating for the community, feed the community. Don't just visit, visit your store and visit, feed others,
Mm-hmm.
give to others. Be
Mm-hmm.
that thing and that person that you wish to see. I wish to see more likes. I wish people didn't even,
Mm-hmm.
and you become that. You go and
Yes.
you like someone's work, you uplift someone else, and then you will be uplifted. Promise me. I
Mm-hmm.
promise you, you will be uplifted. So you have to not be so focused on you growing, but try to help someone else grow along the way. you know
Mm-hmm.
Help someone else,
Yes.
plant seeds in other people.
It's important. It's
Yeah.
important. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that because it does take a community. We have to pour
Hmm.
into each other
Hmm.
because it's a journey
Yeah.
and it does
Nothing
not happen overnight.
does not happen
It doesn't
overnight.
happen overnight. It does
No.
not. You talked about nurturing your craft. How have you nurtured your craft over the years?
um, Continuing to practice, continuing to step out into going into other areas that of interest, and saying,
Mm-hmm.
and even though it looked like, well, I've never done anything like that, I've never tried that medium before, trying it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I don't have a particular style. I don't want to choose a particular style for me. I want to. There's a lot of layers. I like a lot of different things, so I feel like I
Mm-hmm.
should create a lot of different things. So I look at I enjoy looking at others' works. I enjoy trying different mediums and different ways to create. And that's to me a part of nurturing that gift is by
Mm,
expanding as far as I can go with it, going as far, taking it as far as I
mhm.
can take it. And of course, I created art doing something new, and hey, it didn't come out the way but there have been times when I've done that and it didn't come out the way I hoped. I still would share it anyway, and other people liked it, and it made me cringe a bit, but other people saw it. And I'm like, I still cringe at some things that I see, but other people think it's fabulous and it's great. And I'm like, thank you. But inside, I'm like, I have no idea what I did with that or why. It's not
There's a
my favorite.
message there. It's a
It's not my
message.
favorite work, but they love it, and that's just how it is. Because with art, it's once again it's subjective. So I
Mhm,
just try. I leave myself open to explore different mediums, different colors. I'm an
mhm.
earth tone girl. I love earth tone colors. I like that. But every now and again, I'll challenge myself to try different colors.
Yes.
To try different things. That's a part of nurturing it and being
Mm,
teachable, listening to people say some things that I probably, we sensitive about the stuff that we create. So
mhm.
just listening and being okay with feedback, being okay with feedback. And I have my sister is my accountability partner. I
Oh, you
will
have an accountability partner?
I have an accountability partner, and that would be good. I suggest that for people as
Mhm,
well. Um,
mm,
I use my sister because we're both the same in
mhm,
that when I ask you for your opinion, I don't like people who are trying to gauge what it is that I want to hear. I want to hear what you
mhm,
have to say. So you don't
mm,
worry about my feelings, and she doesn't worry about my feelings, and she knows that I'm like that. She knows that if she says, I have this color,
mhm,
or yeah, I'm not really understanding that, and or that just seems a little. And sometimes I'll look at it again and I'll say, yeah, and then sometimes I'm like, no, that's exactly what I want, and I go on, and that's how go
mhm,
forth with it because it's still about the message that I feel led to
mhm,
relay, and it's
mhm,
still like with anything, something that when you ask for an opinion about something, you have to be open to receiving an opinion that's different from yours, and
mhm.
even
Yes.
uh, putting even implementing it. But if you know
Mhm,
in your heart of hearts that that's not something that resonates with you, it's okay if you just thank you for that, but then you go on with what you had planned
mm,
or the way you want to go with it.
yeah, and you stick with your vision. I
You
love
stick with
that.
your vision exactly.
Yeah, but you still receive feedback.
And she
Yeah.
and she knows that, and I think it's great with her because if I decide that I don't want to say use that blue, I want to I if I decide that I want to keep it like it is, I can see
Mhm,
"Oh, it's a little too dark. Don't you think it's too dark?" And if I look at them like, no, I like it like that. She's not one she accepts it for what it is. She doesn't take it and make it personal about her because it
mhm,
never is. It has never. And so you need somebody like that in your life, I think.
mhm. You really do. You really do. So anyone listening, an accountability partner is
Accountability.
something
Hmm.
everyone should have, not just creatives, but anyone in the space who,
Anyone,
if you
anyone.
have goals.
Say, why haven't you? I haven't seen you create anything. What are you doing? Or even suggest if I'm like in my head too much, why don't you go and create something?
Mhm,
Why don't you go and create something? So accountability partners keep you on track, and it's good. It's a good
mhm.
thing to have. We don't. Uh, I don't think we consider that enough.
Yeah, I don't think we do. I really don't. So I do want to ask you, what medium do you work with?
Digital mixed media and collage. And
Mhm,
there's a story of why I use digital. I haven't always used digital, but I went to digital because during that time when I was ill and I was getting going into the hospital every month, and so I was low on funds. There was money that was used for all of that. I was in the hospital every every month, and so I didn't have the income like that, and so it's like I can't buy supplies like that anymore like
mhm,
I could have in the past. It's like okay, but I had my tablet and I had you know software, and a laptop
mhm,
that I could use that had the the software, and I don't know if I could say the names of the software. I won't do that, but there are softwares that
Mhm.
you can use to paint digitally. And so at
Mm.
first I'm like, this is not gonna be the same, but that's all I had.
Mm.
That's what I had. And so I used what I had, and which was
Mhm.
digital paint. And I never
Mhm.
ran out of paint. I already had this off. I never ran out of paint. And I just think that was a way of showing that if you use what you have,
Mhm.
that I think God honors that. I didn't have, that's all I had. And it's like, this is what I have, God. This is all I got. And so I
Mhm.
used it. And
Mhm.
I think God blessed that because, hey, people, I was creating digitally and people were taking notice of it. I started, someone offered to, hey, wanted to purchase it. And it just took off. So I started doing more, exploring it deeper and exploring more
Mhm.
to the point where I could uh, leave the digital world. I didn't want to, there was so many, and I think part of me didn't want to and doesn't want to because God, to me, God blessed that. He blessed me through that, and so, and again, I never run out of paint. Run
It's
out of
digital.
material. It's digital,
Mhm.
and I can, of course, I have it printed onto canvas, and I use G clay prints, which are museum quality, and for me, it's a blessing. And every time I think of how I got into digital, to leave that is almost like leaving something that was loyal and faithful to me. And that's something
Mm.
that was loyal and faithful to me was creating digitally, painting digitally, um, the mixed media that was right at my hand. And so I've found ways, I've gotten better from when I first
Mhm.
started, and I hope to continue to grow with that and expand as far as God takes me with it. And so that's
Mhm.
my medium, mixed media, digital mixed media, and I do collage
Digital
work as
mixed
well.
media. What do you want your legacy to be?
I want my legacy to be one of resilience, to show people that I don't know if I mentioned that when I was diagnosed with this when I was 19, but I was told by doctors that I would have my colon removed by the time I would have to have it removed by the time I was 25. And here we are. And I don't mind telling my age. I'm 56 and I still have this colon because, hey, I wasn't sure I was going to reach 56 there at one moment. So um, I still have that colon. So one of resilience, one of love, not love and being, not more so than love and words. I want it to be a love
Mhm.
and being, because that's a choice. That's a choice that you make, a love and being. And I hope that my work will be seen as revelatory, and uh,
Mhm.
and that it was work that was created with messages from spirit, with messages of encouragement,
Mhm.
freedom, you know. If nothing else, but something that made someone better on that day, even if it's a smile. So love, resilience, and revelatory work, revelatory
Mhm.
work. But that love, I hope instead of something that's being preached more so that you'll see it in my life. So I say that's the reason I say, love in being, that's
Mhm.
expressed in the way I move, in the way that I deal with others, and
Mhm.
the way that I choose to help others. And I hope that's something that, if nothing else, they say, well, she loved, she
Mhm.
loved, she was loved, and her work was revelatory, and
Mhm.
she was resilient because there are days when that I don't, that I have when the medicine isn't working, or and that you still keep going. One of my paintings bearer was created in the hospital while I was in the cardiac unit digitally. And that's again, I
Mhm.
did that. And I was, and tears were, which is why it's
Mhm.
tears. You'll see, if you look at bearer, you'll see a figure of a woman just bent over, and there's like sweat and there's tears and all of this because I was in the hospital when I created that. No one knew at that time. Many
Mhm.
people didn't know I was in a cardiac unit. Most of the things that I went through were just my family and a handful of friends. Like I've spoken out more about that as I've gotten older and in these days, only because I think I believe that it's, whereas before I didn't, I was like, I don't want to be defined by it. I don't want to be defined by it. I don't
Mhm.
put it out there because I want people to see more. Now I speak about it because I want people to understand and see resilience. Say, okay, you can still go on, still do. And once again, use what you have. I was still in the hospital, but I had a tablet that I could eat with that still helped me while I was in the hospital.
Such a powerful story of love, resilience, and then the
Thank
legacy, revelatory,
you. Yeah,
right?
revelatory.
If you could speak with your younger self, what would you say?
Believe in yourself. I think a lot of things, uh, a lot of doors open for us, and a lot of things we achieve a lot when you believe in yourself. And I think when you're children and you're growing up, you can that can kind of shift to where you're listening more to that outside and how and understanding that when you meet people and if
Mhm,
even if they're not treating you kind, that has absolutely nothing to do with you as so much as it does the other person. When you're growing up, you have a lot of grown-ups that came up and they were bullied and they carried that all throughout their life, and
mhm, mhm,
closed off because of that. So you have to believe in yourself, know who you are. Do not allow anyone else to define you or tell you who you are.
mhm,
You are more capable of
mhm,
telling someone else of knowing who you are than someone else. You live with you every day. Trust yourself. So I would tell myself to believe in yourself and keep doing the hard work. Keep doing the
keep
hard.
doing
Yeah.
keep doing the hard work. Vanessa, I'm going to ask you, what is the best advice you've received on your journey?
I still carry the things my dad said when I was a little girl, which is that you can do anything that you want to do. If you don't do it, it's because you didn't want to do it. And so I just again, it's and the, don't fear. Don't if you fear, it's okay to fear, but don't let it control you. So even if you're afraid, do it anyway, because that's something my dad
Mhm.
would say. Do it anyway. And so every time in going through life, it was something that I was afraid of heights. So I made a point of walking over this bridge in Chattanooga, the bottomless bridge, every two I could watch over it, walk over it, and not be because it was like, oh my God, the highway is beneath me, so I'm not going over. So I did that because I made a point of it, and it's like if you are afraid of it, it's okay to be afraid, but do yourself a favor and do it anyway, because then you'll see how powerful you are. So, and you want that. You want to know that your power. You want to know your power. You want to be able to wield
Mhm.
that power. And if you wield yours, you won't be so controlled or bothered by anyone else's. So
Mm.
I feel like those are the things that stick with me is what the things my dad said, which is, if you're afraid of it, okay, well then we probably should look into it anyway. And that's use wisdom. Of course, I wouldn't expect anyone to jump off of a mountain or anything like that because they're afraid of it. But you know what
Right.
I'm saying. I just feel like
Mhm.
any fears, don't be afraid to face your fears, especially when it comes to your dreams, and
Mhm.
to believe in yourself. You need the belief in yourself in order for you to do anything. To love someone else, you need to believe in yourself. To
Yeah.
give you to this world, you need to believe in yourself. You have to believe that you have enough power, you have enough wisdom, you have enough intellect to achieve. No one
Mhm.
else can have that for you. No one else can do that for you. If you don't believe in yourself, you'll be stuck and you'll be tossed to and fro by people because we know that we are fickle and and we shift and change. So
Mhm.
only you are going to be able to stand for you. Only you have that voice with you every day when I can't reach my sister. I had to get to a point where I didn't call her every time I created something or sent her something every time I created it because I had to become, and she mentioned that not too long ago. She said, "You don't even show it to me like you used to." And I told her that I did that. It has nothing to do with you. It has to do
Mhm.
with the fact that I had to get to a point where I trusted what I did without having someone say it's good or it's okay or I like it. I need to be able to say I like it and that's enough. You still need your accountability partner, but I think I was leaning on her in the beginning more so towards is it a go or if it's not, it's just,
Mhm.
and you want to
Yeah.
get to a point to where if you believe in it, it's enough. So if you believe in you, you need to have that where I know what I know and I trust what I know, that you're grounded in that enough to where you can move and you're not paralyzed by the outside things. If you believe in yourself, you can conquer and you can do a lot, just that'll feed other things, other areas.
Mhm. Yes. That's powerful. Absolutely powerful. What's next for you? What projects are you working on? What are you looking forward to?
Um, I'm actually working with a new company. It's an electrical powered company where they it's like Uber, but they're electric and they have a concierge service and it's just top tier. But I'll be working with them in an auction that they're using to raise money for Clark Atlanta University's music program. Also with some children's programs here in the neighborhood in the community to help those. And I'm looking forward to that because not only is it more that it puts my art in front of a different crowd, but a bigger crowd also because it helps in helping others, especially the children. And
Mhm.
that's exciting for me. It's
Mhm.
another. It's an expansion for me, and so I want to
Expansion.
expand. And
Mhm.
not just for the financial side of it, but expansion is so that you have more of your work. If you believe you're co-creating with God, then you want those messages and those things to really get out there and be seen. And so
Mhm.
that's what I want to do. I want to expand and have my work seen, and hopefully that people will see the spirit uh, in that, and that it's helpful in some kind of way, um, in growing or
Mhm.
just smiling.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's wonderful. Wonderful expansion. Sounds exciting as well.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
What would you like to share with listeners? What do you feel called to share based on what Spirit is telling you? And I know we've had this conversation about being called to do the work that we do,
Hmm.
and nothing really happens by accident. Is there anything that you would like to share to help listeners or creatives who are listening find their voice?
You don't have to create work that looks like anyone else. You don't have to, your process doesn't have to look like anyone else. Your process is your process, and that's okay that it doesn't look like anyone else's work, that you don't look like anyone else. And I think what they say, comparison is the thief to joy. And
Mhm.
that's what you'll do. I think as an artist, when we are not creating as much as someone else, or we're not getting the attention that we feel someone else is, stay focused on what you're doing. Stay focused on what you're doing. Create for yourself, and when you're creating for the work that you feel, that lets you know also that someone else is going to feel it too. And your audience will come. It may take you a little bit longer. It may not. Don't You can't compare your journey with someone else's because you're not coming in at the beginning. You A lot of times you may have people, well, they don't deserve. You never know what someone deserves the attention of because you don't know what they've gone through or what the kind of work they put
Mhm.
in to get there. So stay focused on what you're doing.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to look like anyone else's. Your likes don't have to look like count doesn't have to look like anyone else's. If Know that if you keep and you stay true to it, they'll come. They really will come. You just don't get flustered or discouraged by what you're seeing of someone else's because that's someone else's road. That's someone else's path. Stay committed to your path. Do the things that you feel led to do for you. And when you see someone else excelling, don't take that as that means that you're doing something wrong. Just know that if they can excel, you can too. You look at it like, oh wow, I'm so happy for them because that's like it really is like you're doing it too. Because if they're opening a door and they're going in that way, in through that door, there's room for you too. That means you can go through that door or another door. Whatever you
Mhm.
see someone else doing, you can't get jealous of it or feel discouraged by it because if they're doing it, there's nothing to it for you to do it too. You just have to put in the
Mhm.
work. You just have to get your resources and be uh, Committed,
Mhm.
committed. So just stay on your path. Don't get distracted by what someone else is doing. Do you and your work, and don't compare. Don't compare. It takes people, it's taking people, know that they've taken years. If you just started and you've been doing it for a year, you can't expect to have the same results of someone who's been doing it for 5 or 3. It's
That's
great when
true.
those things happen, but it doesn't happen all the time. And know that during that process, there's blessings in that process. During
Mhm.
that time,
Mhm.
there's growth in that time that's not just benefiting you as an artist, but it's going to benefit you as a person, and builds character, and it actually adds to the stories that you can tell in your art. It
Mhm.
means more because you didn't, you worked for it. You worked
Mhm.
for it. So that's it.
Absolutely, absolutely. What wonderful, wonderful advice. Thank you so much.
Thank
Vanessa,
you.
I'm grateful. Thank you so much for being a guest on the show, and I hope you will join us again. It's been great
Oh,
chatting
thank
with
you for
you.
having me. Thank you for having me. I feel blessed, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity to share.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. I hope you left feeling inspired and energized to follow your own path with purpose and creativity. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and until next time, keep creating, keep dreaming, and keep living your purpose.